Hey there, hi there, ho there, cats and kittens. Good morning, good day, good evening. How you been? It's been a while, but welcome back to another episode of Sit and Spin with Joe, with me, your host, Joe Royland. Today, just so happens to be the 8th anniversary of our first ever episode. I look back and I watch that right now and cringe about how bad it looks. But bear with me, I'm a little rusty. It's been almost 3 years that we've been on hiatus. But where it's the 8th anniversary, I really wanted to get a new episode up if possible. I can't promise that I'm going to be doing new episodes every week like I used to do. And I have another little idea of things that I'm going to be doing in the meantime. Hopefully I can keep doing that on a regular basis. But, at least for today, we're back with a new episode of the show. And of course, today's episode, we are going to be talking about the new album from one of my all-time favorite artists, and that would be Alice Cooper and his new record, Detroit Stories. There's a lot of information I got to kind of float out there on this album, so I'm not going to be talking too much in depth about the music, although I'll give you a little Reader's Digest breakdown on the album. It is Alice's 21st solo album, 28th studio album overall. It was produced by his longtime cohort, Bob Ezrin, who was the guy who kind of got the band off the ground and got the breakthrough success working with him. And Alice has worked with him on the last few recordings he's done, including like Hollywood Vampire stuff. And it's sort of a concept album, I guess you could say. A lot of Alice Cooper's albums are loosely concept-based. This particular one is based around Detroit, and that being where the Alice Cooper band got their first success out of. Like the band formed in Phoenix, Arizona, and then moved to LA, where they started to try to get their career off the ground, got signed by Frank Zappa to the Straight Records label. But after doing 2 records, they still weren't really having any success, and so they decided, we're going to move to someplace else where rock, and hard rock in particular, is like really happening. So where are we going to go? And they ended up on Detroit City, because Detroit was one of the places where like that type of music was really breaking. So they're like, well, we're going to try it there. And in the interim, they hooked up with Bob Ezrin, and he produced their 3rd album, Love It to Death, which was their breakthrough album, and just celebrated its 50th anniversary earlier this week. You may have seen a picture I posted about it. But Alice has gone back and revisited his kind of like Detroit Day garage sound before in the early 2000s, but this is the first time since then that he's really kind of made an album focusing on this. Actually, not quite true. Actually, there was an EP he did back in 2019 called Breadcrumbs, where he kind of tipped his toes into the water about some of it. We'll get to that a little bit more in a minute. But anyway, as such, this record features a lot of Detroit musicians, and some famous guest artists appear on this. We've got Wayne Kramer from the MC5 on guitar, Mark Varner from Grand Funk Railroad on guitar, and also you got people like Paul Randolph on bass, who's a famous Detroit musician. They also features guest appearances by guitarist Joe Bonamassa, Steve Hunter, who's worked with Alice in the past as a solo artist and on a couple of his more recent records, Tommy Denander, who worked on Alice's last record, Paranoid Personality, and the original Alice Cooper band, just on like Alice on that album. They are featured on a few of the tracks on this album. So you have Michael Bruce, Dennis Dunaway, and Neil Smith, all the remaining members. Sadly, Glenn Buxton passed away years back. They show up in this album too. There's one in particular I want to talk about, I Hate You, that's great. They also add vocals. It's totally humorous in an Alice Cooper type of way that you would like. They kind of all get in a little zigs at each other, but it's awesome. Love it. And the album overall is kind of a mixed bag of styles. You got hard rock, punk, R&B, blues, a little jazz, a little vaudevillian style music hall type things that Alice likes to do, but it's all wrapped up in Alice's trademark humor and wit. Mostly it's all original recordings. There are, however, a number of covers, like the one you're hearing right now, a cover of Velvet Underground's Rock and Roll. There is a cover of the song Our Love Will Change the World, which is from a Detroit power pop psychedelic rock band, Outrageous Cherry. That's already been released online before on the internet, so you can hear it. There's a cover of MC5's Sister Ann, and a cover of Bob Seger's East Side Story. Now, some of these tracks had been previously issued on the Breadcrumbs EP that I mentioned earlier, where that EP kind of served as like whetting the appetite for this release. And one of the other songs that appeared on that record and on this record as well, although on that record it was labeled as Detroit City 2020, on this record is Detroit City 2021, And it's an updated version of the song Detroit City, which first appeared on Alice's 2003 album, The Eyes of Alice Cooper, which is when he first went back to his kind of Detroit garage rock roots. And one of my favorite albums by him, and the follow-up, Dirty Diamonds, was another record still in that style. Love both those albums, but it was great. So if you're an Alice Cooper fan, you're sure to love this record. I do. I mean, this record could have ended up sounding like total dog shit. I said I would have loved it because it's Alice. I would have bought it anyway. The record comes in a number of formats. I gotta reach over here and grab something that I left out of the way. You can get the standard CD version, you can get the vinyl, or you can get the CD DVD deluxe package. The DVD, the bonus that is included on this is the whole live concert. I gotta reach over here for some more visuals. Of Alice Cooper live at the Olympia in Paris, which had previously been released on this album. A couple years back in 2018. Great show, has a really good set list to it, and that's included as a bonus DVD on this package. This is only, you can get this version for like a few bucks more than the standard CD, which is why I opted to get this one. There's also a deluxe edition box set that has the CD, it has that show on Blu-ray, which I would have really liked, but I didn't really want to pay the extra money that it cost because it also comes with a t-shirt, a face mask, a torchlight, and stickers, and the other stuff I wasn't quite so interested in. For the price, it was just easier for me to get this, and if they ever should put out the concert on Blu-ray separately, which I don't see why they won't do some point down the road, then I'll just pick it up then. I probably would still end up saving some money, but you know me, I had to have the vinyl version as well. But the question was, which version of vinyl did I want? Because there are a number of variant versions of this album on vinyl you can get. There's the standard black version, there's an indie store red version, there are a number of different colored versions over in Europe, there's a blue pressing, a purple pressing, a white pressing. But as soon as I found out this particular version was available, I knew this was the one for me. And I have to thank my friend Joey Haney over the Rock Strikes 10 podcast for pointing this out to me. As soon as it went, the notification that this went up for pre-sale went up, I immediately went and pre-sold it. This is the AstroTurf edition, which is made to 1,000 copies. It's put out by Good Records out of Dallas, Texas. Now, Good Records is run by a guy named Christopher Todd Penn. And Christopher Todd Penn was also responsible for kind of getting a little reunion of the band back in 2014 or 15, I think it was. And initially, they released a standalone single of a show that was recorded then. And this was just for I'm 18 and Isn't My Body. It was a really awesome deluxe package that came with a colored vinyl, came with goodies like some postcard sets and lots of stuff. And even for like a 45 itself, the packaging was extraordinary. That would eventually lead to a full-length album release in 2018. This was also a Record Store Day exclusive. And again, talk about variants. There's so many variant versions for this record. It's insane. I can't remember how. I've lost track of how many different variants there are. I believe I got the translucent pink version, and like Chris's stuff is just insanely good. Like he just throws in all these extra goodies. The quality and the care and the love that goes into these productions is great. And it was no different with this record. For this particular version of the album, and like I said, as soon as I saw this, I knew this was the version I wanted. It comes on this awesome black and white spider eyes splatter vinyl pressing to emulate the kind of makeup that Alice was wearing back in the time, which looked kind of like little spider eyes that's upside down, but it's really sweet looking. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yep, that's the one I want. And it also comes with some extra goodies too. I got number 581 out of 1,000, by the way. And in with a package, which came in this box that was insanely well packed and had like all sorts of stickers on it, like rush delivery, making sure that this package was taken well care of. One of the things you got was this limited edition deluxe art print of the original Alice Cooper Coupe. This was a print that was made by Dennis Dunaway. It came from a discarded Polaroid photo that was taken in a photo shoot of the band, and man, it's really awesome. And the prints also have the numbered limited edition AstroTurf Good Records packaging on the side. There's also a few other goodies you get with this. You get I can't remember how many there are, maybe 5 or 6 different random Alice Cooper baseball card, trading cards. This for Good Records. It's really sweet. I got this one. He also threw in some awesome Good Records stickers. This is a specific Alice Cooper featured one, and then there's the regular Good Records logo that happens, and like a little thank you card for purchasing it there, which also comes with a possibility to win a signed print from Dennis Dunaway himself. Pretty sweet. But that's the record. I love it. If you're an Alice Cooper fan, you will, like I said, you will probably love it too, but it's Alice. I'm going to love it anyway. You know that, you know me. So that's the record that we're going to talk about today. That's pretty much it. Just talking about the show itself. It's been a long, crazy year with the pandemic. I know a lot of people lost their jobs. I wasn't one of the people who did. I ended up working through all of it, and that's one of the things, minus I had 1 week off for vacation and 1 week where I was out of work for a week because I had some back injury issue with sciatica and nerve issues in my leg, which just screwed things up for a while. And even I was out, like I said, out for a week, and then right back to work, working through all that. And on top of that, the whole thing that put the show on hiatus anyway was my son being born, and then that just turning into parenting being a much bigger task than I thought it was going to be. But the pandemic didn't help. The pandemic basically made it so that my wife and I had no childcare. So we were basically just tag teaming in and out every day. Like, I get up early, go to work, come home, and then she goes into work, and then she comes home, and I get up and go to work. And, it's like wash, rinse, repeat. And it doesn't leave a lot of time to do stuff. On an average day, we're probably up about 17 to 19 hours straight a day. Maybe if we're lucky, we get anywhere from 3 to 5 hours of sleep at best. 5-year-old's pretty demanding of your time. So there's always something going on, which doesn't leave a lot of time to do the show. But I do miss doing it. It was fun, doing it. Like, had a pretty good year run of doing the show, a little more over 5 years of doing the show before I had to kind of put everything on hiatus. But I hope to try to get back doing more shows too. One thing I am going to do, I mentioned a little bit earlier, is I used to run a feature on my own page called Song of the Day, which I did pretty much straight for 9 years without missing any days, where I would feature a song and kind of give you information about it and break down that information. But if you also see on my page, and I'm on the Sit and Spin page here, or on my regular page, I often like to show pictures of the records I'm spinning. See, I told you I'm rusty. Which is a lot of fun, and I like doing that. I'm a real sucker for colored vinyl, obviously, and different pressings, so I like to show those off when I can. And sometimes I just like to show regular stuff. But what I'm going to kind of do is combine the two. So instead of being Song of the Day, it's going to be Spin of the Day. And I'm going to try to feature some of my favorite records, hopefully every day. Maybe not, but hopefully every day. And sometimes it might not be a record. Sometimes it might be a CD or a concert DVD or Blu-ray that I'm watching. Just in the way I would feature those kinds of things on the show. But I hope to at least do that. And, you guys can comment on those records and talk about songs of your favorites on that record or not. That'd be cool. Or that type of thing. And if I can throw out some little bit of information or tidbits about those records or those things, then I'll do that instead, at least for now. But in the meantime, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for checking back out on this episode. Big thanks to all my podcasting brethren who have supported me over the years, people whose shows I initially started out listening to myself and then ended up becoming really good friends with a lot of them. Eric Miller and Craig Smith over the Pods and Salads podcast. Ken Mills, the podfather of Podkist, Cheap Talk with Chick Track, Cheap Talk with Trick Track, you know what I mean. Zilcha Monkeys podcast, a pop culture podcast. Ken does a lot of stuff. I've been on some of those shows. Kristen, Zach, and Aaron Camaro of the Decibel Geek podcast, who also got the Rockin' Pod off the ground. It's where I got to meet a lot of these people for the first time. Last year it got canceled. This year they are hoping to have it up and running again in August. If you want to get tickets to that, check out the Rockin' Pod site or go to the Decibel Geek site. You can find out more information about that. Also great people like Tim and Jay from the Dig Me Out podcast, Stephen and Sonny from the Growing Up Rock podcast, Lee McCormack from the Tramps Like Us podcast, John Lamoureux from the Hustle podcast. John and Eric Miller and I we haven't done one in a while, but we also do Soundtrack Six-Pack podcasts every now and again. Hopefully we'll get back to doing some of those too. We're also had been working on, I don't know if it'll ever make the light of day, but we were working on an NXS featured podcast, and maybe that'll come out at some point. It's all up to Eric. But, and if I'm forgetting anybody to talk about, Joey Haney, again, the Rockstar 10 podcast, and, Jason Backenover at Cobras and Fire, so many other people. Brad Page from the I Love That Song podcast. I'm probably forgetting others, and I'm sorry if I did, but so many great podcasts. Hopefully you're checking some of these people out. I've been checking them out for years. They all put out excellent content, and hopefully you'll check them out too. Check back periodically on this page. Check out the spin of the day, and hopefully I'll get some more videos up. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one. For old time's sake, if nothing else, see you later on, guys. Take it easy.